It is that time of your day when you tune in to Jamaica Magazine. Welcome, I'm your host, Theodore Henry. As usual, the pages take you on a journey around Jamaica. But first, recent developments in government in the news. Soon come back.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica. Original.
Good day, I'm Tamara McHale, and this is your GIS News for Wednesday, January 20. Tax revenues for the April to November 2015 period are $6.2 billion ahead of target. It was budgeted at $250.1 billion, but $256.3 billion was collected. Tax on interest was up by $4.2 billion, special consumption tax SCT up by $2.9 billion, general consumption tax $1.8 billion, and company tax $1.4 billion.
When you see the sales taxes, SCT and GCT, and the company taxes outperforming, I think that says something about business activity, that it's picking up somewhat, picking up more than was planned, I guess you could say.
Customs duty, telephone tax, and tax on dividends were, however, behind target. The co-chairman of the Economic Program Oversight Committee also indicated at Tuesday's press briefing that the primary balance stood at $55.8 billion, $5.3 billion more than targeted. The net international reserves at the end of December was $800 million more than target, standing at $2.44 billion. Work will commence this year to revise Jamaica's national foreign trade policy. Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Senator A.J. Nicholson says the aim is to introduce new reforms and further enhance the country's trade performance in goods and service exports.
We would also like the statistics to begin to show growth in the exports of goods and services, indicating positive developments in our economy.
Minister Nicholson was making a statement on Tuesday during a meeting with cabinet members and Director General of the WTO, Ambassador Roberto Azevedo. He said the revised foreign trade policy was on the agenda at this Monday's cabinet meeting. The World Trade Organization's sixth review of Jamaica's trade policy is scheduled for 2017. Minister Nicholson said adjustments to the policy would reflect a strengthening of the country's trade regime since its last WTO review in 2011. In the meantime, he says the multilateral trading system remains an important medium for addressing Jamaica's food security concerns and development objectives.
In this regard, Jamaica views the WTO as an important partner in this ongoing effort to use trade as an engine of economic growth and development.
Trade in goods and services was 84.6% as a ratio of gross domestic product to GDP in 2014. Government is reporting the investment of some $24 billion in visitor accommodation in the 2014-2015 fiscal year. Among the hotels completed or under construction in 2015 were Moon Palace Jamaica Grand, Charisma, Royalton, and Marriott Hotels.
Other hotels are in the process of planning refurbishments, expansion, or construction of new properties.
Mrs. Simpson Miller was addressing the opening ceremony of the Jamaica Stock Exchange's Investments and Capital Markets Conference on Monday. A timetable has been set for eliminating tariffs on a list of 201 information technology products globally, valued at over $1.3 trillion per year. The timetable was set during the World Trade Organization WTO's 10th Ministerial Conference in December 2015 by WTO members representing major exporters of IT products. Both developed and developing countries will benefit from the Expanded Information Technology Agreement, ITA, which accounts for approximately 90% of world trade in these products. ITA participants have negotiated the level of reductions on a phased basis, which will see approximately 65% of tariff lines fully eliminated by July 1, 2016. Most of the remaining tariff lines will be completely phased out in 4 stages over 3 years, and by 2019, relevant products will be duty-free to all member countries. And finally, the Ministry of Education is appealing to parents and school administrators to ensure that children are registered to sit all relevant examinations, such as the upcoming Grade 6 Achievement Test, GSAT. The appeal was made during a press conference last Friday.
And we want as many students as possible to register for the various levels of examinations. GSAT is coming up, and please let us know if there are any, parents must let us know if there are any children who need special facilities.
GSAT will be held on March 17 and 18 this year, while the Grade 4 literacy and numeracy tests will be held on June 28 and 29. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Tamara McHale. Thank you for watching.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito. A message from the Ministry of Health, sponsored by the NHF.
The Ministry of Transport, Works and Housing is tasked with providing sustainable infrastructure, effective and efficient housing solutions, and transportation services, among other things. The year 2015 was one of innovation for the ministry and quality in service delivery. Here's more.
A $510 million 30-year concession agreement was signed in April between the Port Authority of Jamaica and French firm Terminal Link, CMA CGM, for the privatization of the Kingston Container Terminal, KCT. The agreement allows for dredging of the harbor and the modernization and expansion of the container terminal by the concessionaire with no debt to the government. As part of the economic growth strategy, new state-of-the-art air traffic control towers costing some $2.6 billion were installed at the island's 2 major international airports. The ministry also reviewed bids for the privatization of the Norman Manley International Airport as it moved to select a preferred bidder, and in September, the Civil Aviation Act was amended. In 2015, 27 new buses were added to the JUTC's fleet and approximately 80 of its dysfunctional units were restored. The Jamaica Urban Transit Company also increased its passenger ridership by 50% and improved profitability through a new prepaid cashless fare system and fuel-saving measures. During the past calendar year, work progressed to build out a modern public transportation center in Linstead, St. Catherine. In March, the Rural Safe School Transportation Service was officially launched. Then in November, the new Road Traffic Act of 2015 was passed in the Houses of Parliament.
We have something that is modern, addresses some of the issues that we have, some of the issues that have been plaguing us on the road.
During the same month last year, the Transport Authority Act was amended to increase the seating requirement for Hackney carriage vehicles from 4 to 5. The Transport Authority also moved to reopen 438 bus and taxi routes to potential applicants island-wide and issued requirement for all taxis to have color-coded checkered strip and a roof globe marked taxi. Construction on Segment 1 and 3 of the north-south leg of Highway 2000, linking Kingston to Oterius, moved closer to completion in 2015 and at year-end was over 80% and progressing. Meanwhile, Cabinet approved the award of a $385 million contract to China Harbour Engineering Company to construct 43 kilometers of the Southern Coastal Highway project from Harbour View to Morant Bay. In April, major work began to widen and improve the Maypen to Runaway Bay Road, which also links the north and southern ends of the island. In May 2015, the Transport Ministry signed several contracts under the Major Infrastructure Development Program to build bridges and improve roadways in Portland, Westmoreland, Clarendon, Hanover, and St. James. The Transport Ministry also awarded a number of contracts for road repair. including the $83.9 million MUCO to Arcadia Road Rehabilitation Project in St. James. Also, a $50.7 million contract was awarded to repair the Falmouth Main Road seawall.
So far, $140 million is allocated to the Parish Council across the island to repair some of the Parish Council road through the G program.
Phase 5 of the Jamaica Emergency Employment Program got underway in June. The local authorities were awarded $78.2 million to begin rehabilitating Parish Council roads, while members of Parliament received $10 million each for projects in their respective constituencies. Among the roadways completed in the last year were the Gravel Lane and Wishbish roads in northwest Clarendon, the Old Porous Main Road in Manchester, the 1.9-kilometer West Road in northeast Manchester, the Boone Hall Road in West Rural St. Andrew, Sandy Hill Road in north central St. Catherine, and the 5.6-kilometer Landtop Main Road in Chester Castle. New drainage guidelines for building and subdivision proposals was issued to improve order and safety in the built environment. In the past year, the Housing Agency of Jamaica, HAJ, began work to deliver approximately 900 housing solutions for the fiscal year under public-private partnership.
Projects include Reed's Pen in St. Catherine, Penwood Road in St. Andrew, and Vernon Drive in St. James, all of which have reached significant design stage.
In August, 2 public-private partnership agreements were signed to build 67 one-bedroom units and 276 studio units at Bernard Lodge, St. Catherine, as well as for the provision of 194 one-bedroom houses, 85 two-bedroom units, and 45 serviced lots at Green Pond, St. James. In November, ground was broken to start construction at Green Pond. Meanwhile, work progressed to deliver 500 one- and two-bedroom units at Seville Meadows Phase 3. In October, ground was broken for 114 housing units at the Green Village Housing Development in St. Catherine. As part of the ministry's work to improve lives in the past year, keys and letters of possession were presented to new homeowners at the $1.8 billion Sandhills Vista development in St. Catherine. Keys were also presented to numerous beneficiaries of housing units under government's collaborative housing project with Food for the Poor. The ownership society was further advanced through the accelerated titling program. And a $13 billion project proposal to stimulate growth in housing for low to middle income earners was approved by Cabinet.
So we have identified lands across the island, which when developed can produce some 5,960 lots, of which 3,010 are earmarked to be designed and developed in the first phase of the program.
The Ministry of Transport, Works and Housing in 2015, building the infrastructure, bridging the gap to Jamaica's growth and development to improve lives.
The Petro-Caribe Development Fund, PDF, has been supporting the work of the government through its various ministries, departments, and agencies. In the next feature, we see how the investments from the PDF have been building the nation's physical and social infrastructure.
The Petro-Caribe Development Fund, PDF, is playing a major role in the country's progress, contributing to economic reform, pursuing strategic investments in infrastructure, and developing policies to protect the most socially vulnerable. The organization continues to fund many significant projects, such as the expansion of Jamaica's road network, financing for small and medium-sized enterprises through the Development Bank of Jamaica and Export-Import Bank, modernization of the Norman Manley International Airport, upgrading of port infrastructure, promoting energy security, and facilitating youth employment. A major social intervention initiative funded by the PDF is the Community and School Sanitation Program. This was realized by the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding on August 2, 2011 between the PDF and the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, for an initial grant of $200 million, which was further boosted with an additional $160 million for phases 2 and 3 of the project. This ongoing project is aimed at improving the socio-economic conditions of urban and rural communities by facilitating the construction of new sanitary blocks and sewage systems equipped with modern facilities.
And I want to say, much appreciated of this kind of venture, because years gone by, as you can know, that this community is a community that is lack of facilities to use, as we would say, bathroom facilities. Sanitary convenience is a big and major issue to our community. You see me, I say. So I wouldn't mind if this initiative could go out right across the island.
The PDF has also partnered with the Ministry of Transport Works and Housing through its Jamaica Emergency Employment Program and Food for the Poor by providing grant funding for the construction and distribution of over 2,000 wooden houses across the island for low-income earners. This project also facilitated job opportunities to over 35,000 persons in its first phase of implementation. Additionally, under the program, the PDF facilitated the upgrading of the gullies and drainage system in the Kingston metropolitan area, renovation of juvenile centers and police stations, and the overall renovation of the physical and social infrastructure within underserved communities. The PDF, as part of Jamaica's 50th anniversary celebrations in 2012, launched a scholarship program to support the education of awardees at the secondary and tertiary levels. The scholarships, based on academic merit and financial need, are supported by a grant of $209 million from the Petro-Caribe Development Fund. Tatiana Palmer and Jermaine Spencer, outstanding GSAT scholars, path beneficiaries and high achievers, are among the many who have benefited from PDF scholarships.
I don't have to worry that much about my school fee being paid. When I have projects, I know that I can get the money to buy the different materials that I will need to do it. And I have bus fare, lunch money.
Thank you for choosing me as one of your recipients for the Petro-Caribe Scholarship. And I will assure you that this was not a false investment. I will keep on working hard to retain the scholarship, and thank you.
The scholarship has had a profound impact on Sharida Mitchell's life.
I remember discussing certain options with my mother and saying, oh, you know, I'll get a part-time job and I'll tutor students in the night and anything else that might come up. When all these imaginary jobs didn't materialize, I was left with the thought that I'm going to have to walk out. When I was finally selected, I remember feeling overwhelming joy. I felt as if a load had been taken off my shoulders. I felt incredibly blessed.
The Petro-Caribe Development Fund Jamaica 50 Scholarship is developing outstanding scholars and exemplary leaders who will contribute to Jamaica's future sustainable development. In 2013, students from 5th form up to 3rd year tertiary level gained hands-on first job experience and exposure to various career industries. The fund provided them with the opportunity to work between 4 and 6 weeks during the summer months. Both employer and employee have extolled the virtues of the program. They have found it an enlightening and beneficial experience.
After getting that call that I was going to be able to work for the summer, and not just work, but work in an area that I could actually learn, I was really appreciative of that. And I do feel as though now I'm more equipped and ready to head into the job market after I leave university.
This experience has been life-changing. It has given me personally a hands-on feeling of the work world. Through my high school years, I've been involved with clubs that are dealing with giving back to the community, serving, protecting, things that take a certain discipline. I was also a cadet, so that discipline was already there. So JDF always been a dream, so dream come true.
The Petrocaribe Development Fund is committed to building communities and transforming lives, contributing to the development and growth of Jamaica for many years to come. For more information on the work of the organization, call 960-9110 or visit petrocaribejm.org.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Longing for flexible work hours? Well, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is ready to give you just that through its new flexi-time arrangement. This means both you and your employer can arrange the traditional 40-hour work week in a way that best suits your needs and that of the organization to which you are employed. So expect a shorter work week, more family or business time, more jobs through part-time work opportunities, reduced traffic during peak hours, improved customer service due to varied opening hours, reduced absenteeism, and much more. So come on, balance work, balance life with FlexiTime.
Now, let's journey to the Blue and John Crow Mountains, a sanctuary for endemic plants and animals, but also for Jamaica's intangible cultural legacy.
What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful island we have.
Its culture and nature magically intertwined, one of the reasons that make this World Heritage Site special. Come with us to the Blue and John Crow Mountains. There is much to see, touch, smell, and taste up in these hills.
You can just come in for the day, sit, relax, have your barbecue, go hike on our hiking trails. You can have a tour guide if you so desire to take you on the trail. You can also bring your tent and you can camp overnight. In the Blue Mountain Peak area, you can hike to the Blue Mountain Peak, go to the ice point, come back to Portland Gap where you can rest. The attraction at the peak itself is people hike up in the night, stop at their cabins, right? And then 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll get up out your bed, hike on the trail for another 2 hours to the peak itself to see the sunrise. It is beautiful.
This is where peace is. Talk about getting away from the hustle and bustle of life. This is the place to be. Its cool nature, yes, often cold, particularly in the latter part of the year. But you'll be easily warmed by the best tasting coffee and dance the day away with captivating traditional entertainment. Yes, the Blue and John Crow Mountains has it all. You leave amazed, not believing it all exists in one place, some 4,000 feet above sea level. High up, where it feels like you can touch the clouds, where you can watch birds making their nests, playing among their flock.
How it gets its name, the blue. If you're in Kingston looking in the hills or on the hills, you would see the color blue on the mountain. The John Crow part of it is our ancestors used to hunt wild boar and take it to the other parishes to sell to the different parishes. So what is not sold off, they would leave it, they wouldn't take it back home, and then the John Crow will come down and clean up after they leave.
On the 3rd of July 2015, the Blue and John Crow Mountains was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage Site list. After many years of championing for this cause, the committee fell under the spell of the mountains and gave in. They had no choice. The national park is a true natural treasure. Don't be fooled though. This site is huge, impossible to fully discover in a day, maybe not even in a week. It spans 4 parishes: St. Andrew, Portland, St. Mary, and St. Thomas. Just over 26,000 hectares, and is the preservation zone of the Blue and John Crow Mountains National Park, which itself is just over 48,000 hectares. The Blue and John Crow Mountains is one of 32 World Heritage Sites listed for both cultural and natural heritage. There are over 1,357 flowering plants, with over 25% being endemic. All Jamaica's 30 endemic birds can be found in the area. Dozens of herbal plants to cure almost every ailment.
This is called the headache bush. You can use it as a painkiller. So if you have an headache or a stomach ache, you could boil it. Like a tea, have a 2 or 3 leaves to a cup of water. You remember they used to send telegram, right? In the early days, this is what they used to use, like the ancestors, the Maroons. They would write on this and send it. If you carve on it, it will stay whether it's green or dry. And the information, you could use this and send the information like a letter.
And it provides that precious commodity.
The Blue and John Crow Mountain provide 45% of Jamaican drinking water. There are 25 watersheds in the entire Jamaica, and 10 of those watersheds can be found in the Blue and John Crow Mountain National Park.
On the cultural side, the Maroons take center stage. Once a refuge for runaway slaves, it remains home for their descendants. Their way of life is an intriguing history lesson for the unknown. There you may imbibe on authentic foods and dive into the inviting Nanny Falls.
The interesting thing is that so few of us Jamaicans take advantage of the opportunity that we have up here in terms of the relaxation, the climate.
Don't allow foreigners to know this World Heritage Site more than you. Remember, when you go, take only pictures and leave only footprints. For a tour inside the Blue and John Crow Mountains, call the Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust 960-2848-9 or 920-8278.
Thank you once again for choosing Jamaica Magazine as a way to get new and updated information about all things Jamaican. Keep sending your feedback through our communication channels, jis.gov.jm, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Theodore Henry. Continue to create a life that challenges you to be a better person and to leave this world a better place.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.